Hi everyone, welcome to the Model Registry bi-weekly update for the Model Registry Kubeflow Model Registry Working Group. This meeting is being recorded, and this meeting, as usual, adheres to the CNCF Code of Conduct. We have an agenda that we go through the meeting. I'm going to post it in the chat in case people need the links, and people are free to add talking points. I think for this meeting we're going to have a bit of a shorter meeting because I think that it's kind of like a PTO times for many. So I just synced offline with a few people. I'm going to kind of like not report on behalf of them, but just give you a quick heads up of what I've seen. So in the meantime, for the people attending the meeting, if they see anything that they want to add to the agenda, free to do so. Or otherwise, without further ado, I will just go briefly to the meeting items that we have reported. So just a reminder that I have to give everyone, we are always kind of like keeping the loops for maybe eventually transition to a Zoom bridge rather than this Google Meet. When this will happen, I will confirm it. For now, I can only say that we are trying to set up the correct vault for the password so that we can have access to that one. So as soon as I have more information, I will update. So on the UI and backend from front-end front, today Eder couldn't join the meeting, but we had brief things earlier. We've seen some progress from the UI team, is as well in the upstream. And so if you check out the Kubeflow Model Registry report, you will see that the team is active contributing code for the BFFs and the UI. I think the most important or interesting things for the community here will be the adoption of design tokens for the UI especially. So this is enabling, as Eder presented in the Kubeflow community meeting, is enabling the team to use a shared framework underlying and then adapt the design language for the community of reference. In this case, for Kubeflow, it will use a material UI design style sheet. So, well, design language proper is more than just a CSS, so that it will be presented. What we suggested there is that we have seen some sneak peek in some of the Slack thread. So that is interesting, but eventually I think it will be very interesting to see kind of like a small demo working and presented in this bi-weekly meeting. So this is the update that we have from Eder and all the UI team that is working there. Moving on to the next item for the Model Registry CSI. This is an integration point in the roadmap for the Kubeflow 1.10. So we have now the image is being published on Model Registry Storage Initializer. So we had some coordination with other working group because there are other storage initializers that are being published. So to avoid confusion, we also suggested to rename to the other working groups to be more qualified to what they are doing here. So I think the two discussion points that we're going to have with Andrea is also PTO, is going to be if we wanted to move the CSI from a directory to another kind of like a subdirectory in the repo. This was a comment that was raised earlier in some other meetings, I think. So I think this is pretty minor because it's just a core relocation. So if anybody has some ideas here, can comment on the PR. In an issue, so that we can create a PR later. So there is one, but I think the most important thing here is how do we make it kind of like an out-of-the-box experience for Kubeflow users, not Kubeflow Model Registry in general, but Kubeflow users for the manifest. So I think that I've added a comment here in the previous one for Andrea, because we had some, I detected that there are something similar that has been done by the training operator, if I remember correctly. So I think whatever solution they adopted there, I think is the one that we can propose to the Kubeflow community to do for us. So as I mentioned, we didn't have time just yet to go through this. simply because it's more PTO times these weeks. So eventually, as September will start to roll in, we will have some progress there. I'll just briefly pause here if there are any questions. And yeah, Ramesh.
So, Matthew, as I understand, when we did, I mean, obviously, when we have this future, uh, so are you envisioning that there is a separate container that we bring it up when we are bringing up the model registry, and that will take care of the reconciliation of this thing?
Not really, because this is more for the CSI. So
Right.
this works so that if we have as a storage URI something that start with the model registry column/slash, what will happen is that kserve, not us, but kserve will use the custom storage initializer that we provide to them. So as they're part of their init container, they have this image that we publish that is able to locate in model registry what is the URI for it, and then just reply.
I
So
see.
yeah, so this is about that kind of front of work.
Yeah, I think we should, by default do it.
Yeah, I think it will be helpful. So what I want to, because here is the part that also Andrea contributed some example in the KServe website. What I would like to do here is to keep a checkpointing base with him, because what I would like to do is an example that can work both for the Kubeflow documentation, but as well for the KServe documentation website. So that is kind of like can be used in an easy way. So rather than doing the work twice, I would rather try to do the work once for having a good example that can be used in both places.
Really cool.
All right, thank you.
And follow-on question to not just you, anybody. Do we see that this is you can extend this thing to, say, I know we have another ways of bringing in data from Cube, not MLflow or Hugging Face kind of registries. Is this going to be a good extension mechanism? Because we can also uh, develop extensions in that space, because I know we added in the Python libraries, but that's on the client side of it. I'm just thinking out loud.
No, it makes sense. So here is just since you mentioned MLflow, I was trying to follow up with Liu.
Right.
I think so. My understanding is that what will be good to have, and indeed this could be something that we solve as well with a custom storage initializer, is that rather than so similar to importing to Hugging Face, when we want to import from MLflow, what we can do is that what I suggested Leo, if he has time and is willing to make the contribution, is just a very simple examples where we list kind of like a unique identifier for an entry in MLflow, and then we use that as our storage URI so that we can instruct a custom storage initializer that is able to provide for MLflow the way to initialize the storage for KServe. This is the idea that I have. The thing here is that, for as far as I understand, Liu had a change in his study and work schedule more recently. So let's say I'm not sure how much he will be able to do. My suggestion here is like, I think also this is the path of least kind of like a resistance, meaning that is the most simple example that we can do that actually leverage a lot of components that are already existing. So this is the proposal that I gave to him. My advice here will be to say, let's follow up. So there is this bullet point already in the agenda, so we are not losing track of it. If let's say that by the next bi-weekly meeting, we don't have any update, maybe this is something that we can sort of like reclaim as a task that we do for an integration example. At least we have components so that we can put the pieces down. How does this sound, Ramesh?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. So I had here some just to follow up with more than Chanakia about MLMD progress. I don't think that we have any open points right now from the pull request and demo that were shown last time. So here, I don't think that we have any more update to share here. Moving on to the next item. So Tony has just mentioned, just not to lose track, I put also a point down here. If you can contribute some FAQ entry for the image pullback off, I think this could be great for the kind of like shift testing, kind of like team that we have also for the Kubeflow roadmap in 1.10. So this will be greatly appreciated. All right, thank you. Yeah, it worked. It's cool. Yeah, it's a cool. It's a cool effect. I don't know if it will show up in the recording, but we can check later. All right. We had something from Andre last time, but as well, I think that I will do like this and just let me just write it a bit differently so that I can make sure that we didn't have any specific update for here. All right. And but this is also part of something that we've tracked in the 1.10 roadmap. So I don't have any specific update as of this bi-weekly meeting, but I will keep tabs on it. An item that I've added, so is about the CV tracking for upstream Kubeflow. So what it is this about? In the Kubeflow 1.9, for as far as I can see, the Kubeflow manifest working group has started to track in the Kubeflow manifest tabs of CVEs for the images that are used by the different working groups. So this is great because as always, we keep security first. So this is a great initiative that the Kubeflow manifest working group have put forward. Now, it's while I appreciate this one, I think that I'm having a bit of trouble consuming this data. For instance, was the data about June 25th. And as you can see, we have some. Now, the thing that, for instance, like doesn't match with my expectation here is that we have sneak scanning as well in midstream and downstream. And this number, at least I didn't see any critical CVEs for the image that we produce. So what I've been trying to follow up also earlier is that there is allegedly, how to say, let me bring up the, one moment, please. How do I do this? 1 second, I'll try to bring it here. Okay, so there is this Slack thread that I just opened earlier from this meeting, from the release team. So my understanding is that this is a CVE scanning that the Kubeflow manifest runs on the repo on the default master branch for regular. The problem is that, or the limitation is that this log just present an aggregation. So for instance, if I go here, actually I had the tab already open earlier, so I can just go here. If I go to Model Registry, what we can see is that we have an aggregation. So for instance, here is telling, oh, Kubeflow Model Registry latest image has 1 critical CVE, 16 medium, and 60 low. The problem is that I don't have visibility from this log about which these CVEs are, because, okay, great that I know that there is 1 critical. Now that if I want to go and see what this critical might be, I don't have this information here in the logs. My understanding is that this needs to run the security scanning script locally, so to collect this information. So my suggestion here will be that this is something that we need to start tracking, so that with if 1.9.1 will be released as Kubeflow, or if 1.10 will come up, I want to make sure that we have kept an eye on this information and we sort of like made sure that we are tackling if anything is really critical or high. The point is that so far the only information that I got is that you can use the GitHub action to collect the aggregate information, but in my understanding, as so far as now, is that to know which these CVs are, you really need to run the security scan locally. This is a bit unfortunate. This is the only information that I collected so far. So I started to put this item into the agenda because eventually we will need to start looking into this into more details and eventually address if these CVs are really critical or not. One thing that I will sort of like not push back, but something that just before this meeting I was recognizing is that, for instance, like some images, we are sharing them with the working group. So if the, for instance, like the ML metadata store server, this is the Google MLMD, or for instance, the MySQL 803, this is the same that Kubeflow pipeline is using. So what will end up is that if then you sum all of them, basically means that we would have some double counting here because some images are in common. So this is also something that eventually I'm going to have to report back. I don't think it is too much of an issue, but at least sort of like is something that maybe needs to be for the next release. Maybe there is a better way to account for this double counting if it is confirmed. So this is just something that I have so far. So in summary, my suggestion here is that least as soon as I get a chance, I'm planning to start to try to run the script locally, see which information I can extract. But this is something that as well, Ramesh, I started to open up a point for, because eventually we will need to keep tabs because the Kubeflow manifest working group and in general the Kubeflow community will ask us to take a look. Right? And that is it, basically. So we have the roadmap. I haven't received any newer comment except of the Francisco that suggested some integration with Feast during the last time. So as a follow-up, we had this comment from 2 weeks ago. So I've already included, I think, something in here. Yeah. So KTAPs with Feast integration. So I've already added the line item. But so far, I don't have any further other item for the agenda in Kubeflow 1.10. So that is it, I guess, for today. As I mentioned, very quick meeting because I think it's a holiday time for many that typically attend to this meeting. So unless I don't know, Ramesh or if any of the other had any other comments or points that they wanted to bring up.
Wanted to hear from Ricardo if, on the CVE process, how if they have any updates on that one. That if we are exposing that to the Kubeflow that make.
Yeah, to be honest, I have I don't have much details on that. It's pretty much part of the work that the GSOC students are doing for the manifest team. I know some details of that. They're using a scanning tool called Trivy, but other than that, I don't have any further details on how this works. Um, I would say if you have any questions about how the security scanning works, on how to get these reports, I got from Julius today that it's also possible to run the same tool locally. So if needed, I believe the best person to reach out would be Julius from the Manifest Working Group.
Okay.
And Ramesh, indeed, is like I've linked here the Slack thread where I've already started this conversation with Julius.
Okay.
So I think that because the confirmation so far that I got is that I can see the aggregate value in the GitHub action, But indeed, the thing that is most pressing to me is to understand, okay, let's say that I have 3 CVs critical, which CV,
Yeah.
which are they? So where those are coming from? But so far, so with the information that I have right now, it seems that this is not available in the GitHub action that we would need to do. But maybe what we can do is that once we figure it out, what are, if the script produces a list, what maybe we can do is that we can import the same script in the Kubeflow Model Registry GitHub action to display the kind of like the full list down, so that we have in a place that doesn't require somebody to run something manually, what these things are.
But we can also bring this one if there is value in tomorrow's community meeting. Then.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I'm not understanding is why it's using this kind of like local approach, and it's like they're not just publishing more than just the aggregate what it is that they are seeing. So maybe it's like I'm missing something that I didn't fully check, because yeah, it's good to have aggregate information for having like an overview, kind of like having a heads up. But then as soon as the next question will be, okay, how do I get at least the first most pressing ones? Which are they? Why are they being reported and so on? So I think it is something that we will need to investigate to undertake further. And as Ricardo mentioned, is like say we open a Slack thread with Julius, and we will need to follow up with the manifest working group to understand better how this works.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments, ideas, things that people wanted to share? Or otherwise, I think that we can call it for today. As mentioned, I think that we hope to have better attendance out of the summer holidays times from this. And with that, okay, I don't see any raised hand. Thank you for attending, and I will see you in 2 weeks and in the Kubeflow community meetings for people participating tomorrow, that I strongly invite everybody to participate to. All right.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
night.
Bye.
Cheers, bye.
I'm just